Hello. I'm quite concerned by the numbers of people that are committing suicide following having had contact with the police, following being arrested and placed in custody every year. The Independent Office for Police Conduct produce a report every year concerning deaths following police contact. And they've just released a report for the last financial year up until April 2025. And during that year, 60 people committed suicide, apparently they say, committed suicide within 2 days of being released from police custody. And last year it was quite high, it was 68. And my impression, is that perhaps we need to look into this a bit further and perhaps try and find ways of reducing such a high number of people committing suicide. It's about 5 people a month, across the UK are committing suicide, having had contact with the police. And I think we need to look at why this is happening. Now, the statistics give indications, and let's talk about some of the other deaths that happen. So last year there were 26 road traffic fatalities involving the police, and I think there are strategies to keep a lid on this. And like, for example, the police have to have, if they're going to go into pursuit of somebody, that they have to do it with caution, and they have to do it with permission of a senior officer. Fortunately, there are only 2 fatal shootings in the UK last year. When you compare this to countries like the USA, I mean, our numbers are really small compared to the USA. But 60 people committing suicide within 2 days, this is only within 2 days of having contact with the police, seems quite high to me. And they're only measuring after 2 days. I think really we should extend that to a week, I mean, how many people commit suicide day 3? If people commit suicide only 3 days, it's not counted in these statistics. So, and the Independent Office for Police Conduct seem to indicate that they feel that, if anything, this is probably an under-recording within the 2 days, 60. They suspect there could be even more because these are indications that people may have committed suicide, and this is before any coroner's report and the like. And they feel that the police don't always find out about some people committing suicide as well. Now, those that commit suicide having had contact with the police tend to be men. 93% of those were men, which is kind of an indicator. Do men have much more problems, than women in our society? The average age was about 43 years old, and all the people were mostly white. So white middle-aged men seem to be at risk of doing this following being arrested by the police. Quite a high number, at least half, about 62% of these people committing suicide were reported to have mental health issues. There's things like schizophrenia, paranoid, borderline personality disorders, depression. And you kind of wonder, there should be, I think there is a strategy to try and divert people with mental health issues away from the criminal justice system. But as we know, quite a lot of people do get caught up, with mental health problems. I had them in my day. I'm now retired as a probation officer, but I had some people on probation to me who had quite florid mental health problems, and I was the only person working with them in society. And I felt that this was quite shameful, really, at the time. And these people had quite acute psychosis, but this person appeared to be kept at arm's length by all the other services, including the NHS. And that for me was quite sad, really. So I wonder if this sort of thing's still carrying on. I do know that the police do try and take people to be assessed for mental health issues from time to time, quite appropriately. But sometimes, I mean, at my local hospital, I observed this happening, and they were in casualty with normal children and people like that. And suddenly you get a man standing up saying, "I want to die," who had mental health problems, and they were accompanied by 2 police officers who were there for hours on end. And I think I counted up about 10 police officers in casualty accompanying these people with mental health issues, and they were there for a considerable time. And, and some of the police officers didn't have particularly good skills at dealing with these people and seemed, from my perspective, a bit overly confrontational with these people with mental health problems. So I think this all needs looking at, The other big factor is with these people committing suicide, these 60 and 68 people committing suicide last year, is a lot of them, about at least half of them, have substance misuse problems, alcohol, drugs and things like that. And often they seem to go hand in hand with mental health issues, these things. It's quite a toxic mixture of problems here. And sometimes, in my experience, the NHS will say, we're not going to deal with this person's mental health problems until they tackle their substance misuse and things like that. And both of these things are often in tandem with each other, and it's so difficult. The other thing was that quite a high number of these people, quite a high number, I think it's about 63% of those arrested that committed suicide were for sexual type offences. And this is quite worrying, and quite a substantial proportion of these was for looking at underage porn online, And I think we really need to put more measures in to stop the viewing of underage porn online, but also we need to go out there, I think, and offer more therapy for these people and more support to stop them, to deal with this addiction, really. It is an addiction very often, this inappropriate viewing. And these people need help before they get really entrenched in their offending behaviour, in my view. So it's quite a toxic mix, isn't it, of men possibly unable to talk and talk about their problems to others. 43-year-old white men on average, quite a few appear to have mental health issues that they need support with, and quite a few appear to have addictions to viewing porn online. What a toxic mixture. And I suspect that they feel a lot of shame committing these offences, and they feel fear of how people will react and how the criminal justice system will react to them. And I don't think enough appreciation in society is understood of the work that probation do with sex offenders, because believe me, what I have seen and witnessed is really excellent work committed by undertaken by the probation service with these types of offenders. And it is quite tough and challenging, and does put over victims' perspectives, and, offers support and protection to stop them reoffending. And for me, that is much more effective than them going to jail for 6 months and possibly very much harder work. But this isn't really understood by the media and the public generally. So anyway, do write in with your views, but I know there are some really good charities out there that do good work with people with these issues, and maybe they need more support from the government and the public. And I think we should care about this quite high number of people committing suicide with only 2 days after police contact. They're probably even more on day 3, 4, 5 and 6 and 7. I think it should be measured for a whole week rather than just 2 days myself. And I suspect it should be a lot higher numbers. So in a way, perhaps it is a very sad reflection on our society that so many people feel that they must end their lives, you know, following whatever they've done, you know, and you know, surely we can turn these people around and put them in a positive direction. Anyway, all the very best, and do write in with your comments. Thank you. Bye-bye.